This is Miss Lizzie, and I want to welcome you to the Queen Lizzie podcast. Together, we will go through the history of Rosewood, Florida, and watch as the once prosperous town rises out of the bloodshed, fire, and ash to reveal the people, the memory, and the legacy of Rosewood. Watch every Thursday on Facebook and YouTube, or listen to our story on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Hello, everybody. I am Lizzie Robinson Jenkins, representing not only the Rosewood Foundation, but the personal testimonies and history of cherished friends and family. You are now watching the Queen Lizzie podcast. Today, we are talking with Lynda Knight. Welcome, Lynda Knight.
Thank you, my friend.
You are welcome. I'm honored to have you as my guest.
No, I'm honored that you would think I could do this.
Of course, of course. It runs in the family. Okay. We are two ladies of intellect. Okay, we have been knowing each other for years. We are good friends. You can never go wrong when you are talking to a friend.
I'm counting on that.
When did we meet?
We met, I'm sure it was 1975. It was my first involvement with the March of Dimes as a volunteer.
Okay.
And Zeta Phi Beta was a partner with the March of Dimes since 1971, I believe.
Exactly, yes, that is true.
And so we got involved through the fundraiser and then through programs.
Yes.
And then as friends.
Yes.
And you were there every time I was out there on that field and doing educational programs for people. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that cannot be erased.
No.
It's called history.
Yes. And I'm one of your biggest cheerleaders.
Yes, I know. And your son, you were telling me, your grandson?
My grandson.
Your grandson is one of our Rosewood cheerleaders, and I'm going to invite him on my show.
Yes.
Okay.
He took a class. He goes to Occult School.
Okay.
And he had a class in his civics a year ago, and they spent an entire semester talking about Rosewood.
Really?
And he knows a lot more about it than I do, but it's so interesting to hear. And he loved meeting you.
I can't wait.
So
did we meet already?
You met. He came.
My
he
birthday.
He was my date at your birthday party.
Exactly. I remember tall, handsome.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm looking forward for him coming on my show, and we can talk more.
Good.
Okay, because I tell people Rosewood history is ugly. We did not create it. It's history. We can't change it. And when I talk about it, my mom said, you better not ever attack anyone. I tell that ugly story positively, because I want us to be able to bring the community together.
Yes, but we have to remember it.
Exactly.
And we have to honor it, no matter how ugly it was.
Yes.
And because otherwise history repeats itself.
It does. It really
and
will.
We don't want to go back there.
We don't want to go back there. We have come too far.
We have.
Okay, to repeat history. And that's what she said. Research, authenticate, tell the truth.
Yes.
And I enjoy telling the truth about Rosewood.
Well, I've enjoyed getting to know a little bit about it. I have a lot more to learn about it. And one of these days I'm going to make it out there to see it.
Okay, we have come a long way.
You have. Well, thanks to you.
Well,
and
thanks to
keeping
my
it
mother.
Alive. Well,
the engineer behind this. Do you know when she really got real serious and told me, babe, you've got to keep this history alive? I said, Mom, I don't want to. It's too painful. She said, I know, but if Mom wasn't as old as I am, Mom would keep it alive. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to say to her, then you keep it alive.
You keep it alive and we learn from it so that we do better. As Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better.
You do better, right. And we are better when we work together.
When we know about it, exactly.
Yes. And I am so fortunate to have people like Steve Spurrier, Freddie Weeby, Campus USA Credit Union, Jerry Benton, Melvin Law. These are my main supporters.
They're wonderful people. They're wonderful people in this community. Freddie was so involved with us at the March of Dimes for so many years. did so much. Cannot begin to say all that he did for us. And Jerry,
Pizza.
oh my goodness, at campus.
Uh-huh.
And they continue. And of course now Steve Spurrier is back, and look
Yes.
at what they're all doing for the community.
And the reason I'm here today is because of Freddie. I told Freddie one day, I saw him and I said, we had met. Freddie is from Ghana, you already know that. And I don't remember right now how we met. But one day we met and started talking. And he said, I'm from Ghana. And he said, I read about the Rosewood history when I was a senior or when I was in high school.
Wow.
In
Ghana. Wow.
He said, I never thought I would have met a Rosewood descendant. And we bonded.
Well, he is. He's a role model. He's a role model of. He's all heart. He gives back so much. He's a community leader. I admire him. I appreciate him.
I do too. I ditto everything you have said. I ditto. And we are going to continue to work together, and we're going to continue to work together. And I want to show this picture, what we have coming up now and soon.
Oh, good.
A fundraiser so that we can raise funds. And this is do I have it upside down?
Yes, ma'am.
You do.
I'm glad you all were paying attention.
I've seen that on Facebook.
Yes, and I brought it to the birthday party. But this is one of the buildings that will be one of the at the Rosewood Museum. This is one of the buildings, and as I said, we're getting our information out there. We got to tell that story, and we got to make it a reality. And we're building this in Archer, not Rosewood. In Archer, where my mom, her sister, and the whole Brown family grew up. My grandfather purchased this property in 1897 and said, don't sell my property. They are not making any more. Now I know why.
Now you know why. It's there.
We had to build this museum on this property with help from people like you and Freddie and all their friends. So we are really, really, really going to make this happen. And Mom would often say to me, make sure you reach out to the churches and the organizations. And I'm glad that I have reached out to March of Dimes. You were not, March of Dimes didn't know anything about Rosewood back then, but it's an organization. However, let me tell you, in 1975, at the Matheson Center, who was the president? Allison Garrison. What's her name? But she was the president. I have a certificate that she signed, wherein she gave the Rosewood school teacher a certificate that we are going to put in the museum with her signature. I also received one, but to me, I was not the one, the important one. My aunt, she suffered the agony of defeat. And it breaks my heart to think about how much she suffered. People don't know. I don't like to tell it. But I eventually believe she committed suicide because she worked for a doctor. She said to him, wrote him a letter when she left them in Jacksonville and said, send me some strychnine. He sent it and said to her, don't take more than 3 pills a day with lots of water. I didn't find this letter until after my mom. No, I found it before my mom passed. But after she passed, we found the letter together, and we trying to figure out, the content or the details of it. But anyway, Rosewood keeps me vibrant. It's education, and we have to tell the story. And I always say it's not my story. It's not Rosewood history. It's American history.
Well, and you're giving a gift back to the community by keeping it alive and doing what you're doing.
Exactly, and I enjoy giving back to the community, but like I say, it's kind of painful. She said to me, you must tell this story, you must keep it alive, and Mom is going to write you a song so that whenever you tell the story, you can sing the song. 13 verses. I'm not going to sing 13 today, but it tells the story in its entirety. And when she wrote this story, and when I say wrote, she dictated it to me. and I wrote it shorthand. And after she finished, then we went back and edited it. And it's an awesome story. She said, "Baby, I know you can't sing, but you got to learn to sing this song." She wanted people to know that had it not been for the whites in Levy County, like the sheriff, the store merchant, and the train conductors, Rosewood would have vanished.
Wow.
Because into Cedar Key, which is a peninsula, one way in and one way out,
One way out. That's right.
okay, had the sheriff, the train conductors, and the store merchant not combine their efforts, okay, and their strategies to get us out. I wasn't there, but us out. Something bad would have happened. So my most important verses are: the Cedar Key train conductors were told to pick up in Rosewood. Standing by the tracks with a lantern, his young school teacher stood, waiting in desperation to carry out the sheriff's plans, rounding up the hidden survivors to board the midnight train. The sheriff and the store owner worked around the clock. Oh, Lord, inform the train conductors just when and where to stop, pick up the men, women, and children who were hiding out, and bring them to Archer, Florida, traveling the same old route. John Walker and put on a daring risk. Put the family on the train, Lord, and sent them off with a kiss. Notified the Gainesville families to be on the lookout for their kin. Told them the train was coming and told them exactly when. So I love those three voices.
Oh, that's wonderful. You can sing too.
I'm practicing.
Oh.
But those verses tell her story. She loved those verses.
Now, was the school teacher your aunt?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes, she was. And she became my homeschool teacher because when she left Archie after the brutal attack, they went to Jacksonville, and she lived there and worked for the doctor that I talked about. Her cousin that lived in Jacksonville made sure she got her a job and said, Gussie, they called her Gussie, Gussie, you can come and I'll help you get a job. She did with a doctor, 4 little kids. The story of my book is just so broad and so interesting. In 1997, before 1997, I knew there were kids in her life and a doctor. And I started calling operator when you had to call the operator to track people down.
I remember that.
And I called for like 3 or 4 years. We don't have a Calvin Rollins. I said, no. One day I called. The operator said, I have a Calvin Rollins Jr. I said, let me speak to, call that number for me. A lady answered, which was Calvin Rollins Jr.'s wife. And I said, ma'am, my name is Lizzie Jenkins. I'm a Rosewood descender, thinking she would pick up something. And I said, at one time, my aunt, I believe, worked for Dr. Calvin Rollins Sr. She said, what was her name? I said, Gussie. Oh, I remember Gussie.
Aww.
She was the best sweet potato cookie. Cook. And we went on. She said, are you Gussie? I said, no, I'm not Gussie. She is my aunt. But she got so excited. So I tracked them down, went to their house. They were living in Ponte Vedra Beach, and found out who they were. They never knew she was a teacher. They never knew.
Oh, my goodness.
Never knew about Rosewood. We exchanged pictures, verbiage. These are still my friends.
That's
okay?
wonderful. That's a wonderful story.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have some
Yeah.
stories because I felt obligated to make sure I was telling the truth.
Yeah.
Yes. And I want people to know, we're coming to a break. I want people to know that there is a foundation, the Real Rosewood Foundation, Rosewood, FLORIDA.com. Please go there. I used to say, if you want to make a donation. No, please go to the website, make a donation, or give to the scholarship, because we are going to build a museum, and definitely we need your support. Okay? All right, that's about time for our first half. We're going to head to a quick break, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
I am Black History.
I am Rosewood Black History.
I am Florida and America's Black History,
and you are too.
January 1st, 1923, the KKK insurrectionists attacked Rosewood, killing 5, burning it down.
Because a white woman lied and cried, a black man assaulted me. Rosewood redevelopment is on its way.
Want to help? Visit rosewoodflorida.com.
Welcome back to Queen Lizzie Podcast, brought to you weekly from the Steve Spurrier Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We are here with Lynda Knight. The Queen Lizzie Podcast is brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union, live from the Meldon Law Gator Studios at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. And if you don't know anything about Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, you are missing a treat. They serve the best food in town, and every weekend there is a brunch from 11 to 3 p.m. I was here yesterday. Not yesterday, I was here Saturday morning. I drive from Archeo just to have a brunch with the people here. And the people, the camaraderie is just outstanding. Everybody, we don't know each other, but we do because we enjoy each other. I am serious, but like I said, the food is the best in town. So please patronize them. Remember, Meldon Law has been in business since 1971. He is affiliated with the University of Florida. He does so much in the community. I think weekly he gives, what is it called? Weekly.
The academic scholar.
That, and he does something else. Student of the week. I mean, sports person of the week.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Sports, yeah.
Yes. He does that weekly, and like I said, Jerry, I'm working on getting Jerry in to talk on my show also.
Jerry's wonderful.
I have so many people. Let me tell you all something else that you don't know, and some people don't want to hear. But because of who I am, I say it anyway. I have Republicans, I have Democrats, I have independents, and if it's any other political, you are welcome on my show. That's why it's called my show. I bring on whomever I want to on my show. And you know what, Lynda? When I name those parties, whenever I call any of them,
They say yes. They say yes.
Excitedly. Yes, and that is so rewarding to me. Maybe I'm doing something wrong right.
I think you are. Have you figured out that nobody says no to Lizzie Jenkins? Nobody says no to you.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
For good reason.
Okay, and they are just as happy. One lady said, "Oh, I am so happy. I am so honored." And that makes me feel good. Like I said, to let me know I'm doing something wrong right. But it's fun. It is so much fun. And I enjoy telling the history. It's too much hate out there, and you already know that, Lynda.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, telling this Rosewood story will bring us together.
I hope so.
I don't make them feel guilty or like they are responsible. And everybody leaves happy, like you are today. You're enjoying yourself.
I am. I'm always happy when I'm around you, Lizzie.
Oh, Lynda. And Lynda, what else we need to talk about? The March of Dimes. We have already talked about the March of Dimes, but we were also talking about you became director.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I really moved up and started working, and I remember Zeta used to come down and do telephone calls, telethon.
For the Mother's March. That was back when we were collecting dimes still collecting dimes for the Mother's March. And then
It was.
It was. And Zetas have had a partnership with the March of Dimes since the early 70s.
Right.
And do you remember the Stork's Nest?
Of course.
Back when the teen pregnancy
Yes.
rate was so very high.
Yes.
The March of Dimes provided all the educational materials and the training, and you all had a Stork's Nest.
We still have it.
Do you still have it?
Yes.
Was it still over across the road from, across Waldo Road?
Karen and Sharon, yes. It's still
And
there.
where young women could go and get educational materials, as well as they got incentives for coming and keeping their appointments and all of that. I don't know if it's still like that or not. And then they could get the supplies that the Layette supplies,
Yes.
or all of those kinds of things, breastfeeding supplies,
Yes.
and everything else like that.
Yes.
That was the first program experience I remember with Zeta. But you all were always volunteers there.
Exactly.
Calling in pledges. That's what you're
Yes.
thinking about. Was
Yes.
in the day when we had those long pledge sheets.
Yes.
And you got pledges per mile.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And we had carbon paper. Oh, that's really.
Really? Oh, but it worked
Really,
then.
but and then you had to call in those pledges and that kind of thing, and so you all were really there for that, and then continued as we created the corporate teams.
Yes.
You all always had a strong Walk America team where you raised money so that all babies could be born
Yes.
healthy.
Yes.
Moms got good prenatal health information and that kind of thing. And
Exactly.
I think some of that still continues.
It does. And that's why I say I talk about everything. This is so important for the community to know and to hear. Okay, and it continues.
Well, the March of Dimes is not as visible in our community anymore because, like many nonprofits, special event fundraising like Walk America got very expensive in a lot of places. This community has always been so generous. It didn't cost us a lot of money to do Walk America, but the structure changed as leadership changed at the national office. The structure changed, and so we don't have as visible a presence here as we used to, and as I wish we did.
Right.
But the March of Dimes is still doing really, really good work,
Right.
trying to, we started out to conquer polio, and we remain the only nonprofit health organization to ever have achieved its mission. We changed to the prevention of birth defects and infant mortality because birth defects were rampant back then, but we invested in so much research that a lot of birth defects don't have to happen. They still do, but a
Yes.
lot don't. We have answers now. A lot of it done here at the University of Florida through UF Health and the wonderful researchers there. And then we started looking at the prematurity rate that just went off the chart.
Yes.
And so invested a lot of time, not continuing with birth defects prevention, but with an emphasis on reducing premature birth, making sure that
Yes.
all babies get here full term and healthy. And now continuing that, but really focusing on maternal health as well as infant health, because our maternal health rate in this country is out of sight.
It
I mean,
is.
maternal health, maternal death rate. And it's double for the black population as it is for the non-black population, which is just criminal in my mind.
Exactly.
And so the March of Dimes is really working very hard to make sure that all moms get everything that they need, and that babies can be born full term and healthy, and that moms can be healthy and have healthy births and go home with their babies.
Exactly. And last month we did prematurity. We did
National Prematurity Month is in November. National Birth Defects Prevention Month is January.
That's what we did. Okay. For a month, 4 Sundays, we went to 4 or 5 different churches, okay,
Oh.
and carried the message.
Wonderful.
The
I didn't
Zetas
realize
did
that.
that.
Good for
Yes.
the Zetas.
Yeah. Oh, we continue.
Good for the Zetas.
Yes,
I
yes,
don't
indeed.
ever wear my all royal blue that I don't think about Zetas.
Okay.
I have a lot of it too. I started to think to put on royal blue this morning,
Okay.
Zeta blue. But I did wear Zeta blue to your birthday party.
I know that. I have a
Just
picture
for
with you. And I wore red.
I know.
That
I got
was for
there and
Rosewood.
I thought we were going to be Zeta blues together. Yeah,
No, blood. That was for the blood. That was shed. Blood shed. That was the Rosewood.
that was a wonderful party. Wonderful
I
celebration.
know. And as we speak, Freddie is already planning for this year. I think
Oh,
it's going to
good.
be October 22nd. Okay, I told him
Put
one
that date
day.
on my calendar, huh?
Yes, and we are going to repeat, and hopefully by then we would have started building on the museum. We
Wow.
are going to raise the money, and I know we are. I told somebody if I have to go to the president and knock on his door and say, "Hey, Mr. President, I need your help."
Go for it.
Okay, they do everything else with money. We have a story, and it's a story, and it's everybody's story. So we've got to build this museum. Did y'all hear out there? I'm talking to everybody. So please donate. Please donate to keep this history, this Rosewood history alive. It's not Rosewood. This Florida, American history.
Sure.
Keep it alive because it is very, very important. And I want you all to also know that I have a foundation that this foundation, the Real Rosewood Foundation, was established in 2003. However, there are 5 other Rosewood foundations
Oh,
because when it happened, all of us went in different directions. We did not know each other. We were not from Florida. People don't know this. And they say, oh, everybody that migrated to Cedar Key on Schroeder's, as my mother told me, came from the southern states, Mississippi, Alabama, South and North Carolina, Georgia, came enslaved. I know this because I asked my mom one day, I said, I know everything about the Browns, my mother's, my paternal side of the family. I said, well, Mom, where did his family come from? She said, South Carolina. So because I was doing my research, I was at the at the Smathers Library one day going through the 1870 census. Popped up Henry McIntyre. I almost fell out of my chair. I said, oh, I found you. That was his name. It was the census said 1848. But there were no parents. Never have been able to find his parents. So I went home excitedly and told my mom, I said, well, Mom, there were no parents. Mom said to me, my mother was a genius, common sense, mother's wit. Didn't have to think, 8th grade scholar. She said, well, baby, back then, if a child, don't know if it's true, but this is her history, if a baby was born to light-skinned parents, they gave it to a white a white couple. If they were born dark, it was given to a dark-skinned parent. That's why you cannot, or was not able to determine who his parents were. She said, remember, he had parents.
wonder if working through Ancestry or one of those and DNA now will help
Yes.
with some of that.
I'm working on that.
I love doing that.
I do too, but it's a lot of work, and I'm trying to do Rosewood. But when I have time, I will go, and they stay in touch with me. When they find something, they let me know, they inform me, and I'll go there and I'll look.
Well, you'll be surprised what DNA will pop up. We've had some good surprises in our family that have popped up because we did our DNA.
Yes.
And then, yeah, if you haven't done that, do it.
Oh, I have done that. And one time I was just sitting there, and I just said to you, they send the information. And this page, a full page came in, talking about my DNA. And I opened it, and every picture I saw in there was white. A white look. I closed it. I said, now, I don't have time for this. I'll come back to you later. However, I already know that my family members, like I told you, my grandfather purchased this land. His father was white. In white. So I know it was there. I already knew that, but I just didn't have time. I said, I'll come back to you later, family. And I am doing that. And I will continue to do that because my mother used to tell me all the time, we all came from the same. We
That's
just
right.
changed.
That's
okay.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I don't have a problem. I had a problem at that date. But I am proud of who I am. My great-grandmother was kidnapped in Jackson, Mississippi, walked to Florida. And I'm not going to tell you her story. However, she was enslaved. And I have lots of folks that's enslaved, but that were enslaved. But because of them, I am.
Exactly.
And I don't hold that against anybody. That was the way of life.
But thankfully, it's not anymore.
Thank you. We have been working, and I know I helped when I sat down at that lunch counter in St. Augustine. Oh my God, worst experience in my life. But we were working for what is happening today, for the betterment
Right.
of the country. Is there anything you would like to add as a closing remarks?
I think just we need more people like you who keep our history alive, who stay involved and share the message, but also keep doing good works in the community.
Exactly.
You know, we all have a purpose.
Exactly.
And some of us are getting older, but it doesn't mean we can quit.
That is so true. We are
We-
getting older,
you
and we need to
You know, the
keep a
Bible says
presence.
God knows the plans I have for you, and hopefully the plans are still out there to keep going and doing.
Exactly, exactly. And I am, like I said, I'm so honored to be able to talk to you. We still did not finish our conversation, but we will. Okay.
We will.
And yes, I have enjoyed it so very
Thank
much.
you.
It's
Thank
like-
you for the invitation.
You are welcome.
Thank you for
are
your friendship.
Oh, I love it. For so many years, yes. Nothing has changed, okay? Age.
We can't change that one,
We
can we?
can't control that, but the memory has been just outstanding. The good old days. I have enjoyed every minute of today's show
Thank you. I have to.
and our friendship.
Yeah.
It's
Thanks.
okay.
I'll see you on October 22nd.
All right.
Put the date on my calendar.
Okay.
Y'all come now. Join us.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. All right, thank you very much. I am continuously humbled, honored, and blessed to meet people daily and invite them to join in peace building, healing, and reconciliation through learning about the history of Rosewood. That will wrap up today's episode. I am Queen Lizzie. Until next time, this has been my Rosewood story, and I'm sticking to it. Goodbye.